Ooh, Rare Candy and Rare Candy XL. Ever wonder which Pokemon to use your Rare Candy and Rare Candy XL on? Well, today I will share with you guys some of the top selections to choose so that you can use your Rare Candy and Rare Candy XL on them. Alright, so hi to all of you guys. So yes, first things first though, I know a lot of people have been asking me in the comments and even on my live stream, asking me, hey Brandon, what should I use my Rare Candy and Rare Candy XL on? Well, some of the reasons for that happening is because when we do raids now, especially we reach a certain tier on the Go Pass, we get a lot of items, including a lot of Rare Candy and Rare Candy XL. Well, for those of you who do not know what those items are for, let me go ahead and bring my screen up and explain to you guys in greater detail. So let's go ahead to, what's going on at the bottom left? It's very weird. You guys can see just plus 0 XP, plus 0 XP, plus 0 XP. Okay, this has been going on for days. I'm not sure what's going on, but anyway, looks like Niantic completely has to fix something. Okay, I actually just force close my app and it's still showing there. Yeah. So anyway, let's go into my item bag. You guys can see I have one Rare Candy and one Rare Candy XL. So what are they used for though? So if you use one Rare Candy on any of the Pokemon that you select, whether it's a Legendary or even the Meowth whatsoever, you get one candy converted to it. If you use the Rare Candy XL on any of the Pokemon, including your Legendary, etc., you get that candy converted to Candy XL, which is basically you can use to power up your Pokemon up from level 40 to level 50. So then the big question is, what should you use your Rare Candy and Rare Candy XL on? First of all, I actually clear all my Rare Candy and Rare Candy XL every single day because I have allocated certain mons that I like to put them into. But everybody's selection of the Pokemon will be different. It depends on what you prefer, what you actually rate more often that you don't have to put your Rare Candy into. And also, whether do you spend money in the game to actually do a lot of raids, or are you one who's a free-to-play player? So I explained that all in greater detail, but let's go ahead to some of the few selection that I have personally chosen for myself to explain to you guys why I choose all these Pokemon. So let's go into my Pokemon storage and go all the way to the very bottom of the text. So you guys can see I put RC. RC stands for Rare Candy. I actually do not use the text at all to select the Pokemon to Rare Candy because I know which one to actually Rare Candy next and next and next. So the top Pokemon that I always use my Rare Candy XL on are actually the Mythical Pokemon. I have already maxed out every single Mythical Pokemon that are non-raidable, the ones that you get once from the special research, etc. All of them to level 50. However, I'm preparing for a second set of level 50, including certain ones like even Zygarde, etc., which I don't have it here. I should have actually put it there, but it's okay. So you guys can see I've gotten my Mew up to level 50 already, and my Candy XL is at 296. I need to bring my Mew Candy up to 268 because when you catch the Pokemon from the special research, you will need 268 candy to actually power it up to level 40 first, but you also need 100 candies to actually give it a second move. So that's something to take into consideration. So for me, I've done it to Mew, to Celebi, to Jirachi, to Shaymin, and every single one of them, they have enough Candy XL all the way up to, I believe, to Volcanion and everything. Okay, but I'm working on Marshadow now. Once I'm done with Marshadow, I'll go back to Diancie again. Okay, but in terms of which will be the best to actually focus on first, would be Diancie. Diancie is the #1 Mega Rock Pokemon to use. So hence I even bottle capped mine, golden bottle cap mine to make it a hundo. That's what me and Princess did. So I highly recommend to put your Candy XL into this so they can power it up to level 50. And trust me, it's going to be a very good Pokemon to use. Next one, if you want to think about it, would be Keldeo. Keldeo will be a very good fighting type Pokemon if you actually change it to the Resolute form, the other form other than this, which I have not changed it before yet. Alright, and then another option will be Zygarde, which Zygarde is it's not technically here, but it is also a mod that I recommend. It's not mythical, but I recommend doing that. So you can put it to this, and this is basically for collection purpose. If you want to do it to Mew, to Jirachi, to Victini, to Celebi, etc., that's for collection purpose. So for the next Pokemon, like I said, will be Zygarde. I have not powered up my Zygarde yet. I have enough Candy and Candy XL to power up to level 50 right now, and have enough also to unlock a second move. And I have enough cells to actually bring it up to the final form. You need 250 cells, the Zygarde cells, to actually bring it up to the final form, which I have 300 right now. I'm preparing for Mega Zygarde because it's definitely going to be one of the strongest like Dragon or Ground type Pokemon in the future. So definitely something I would like to work on in the future. So but as of now, I'm just keeping it as it is. So that's a Pokemon that I recommend to put your Rare Candy and Rare Candy XL into. Alright, you don't have to put like until like 10,000 or like, you know, 1,000 Rare Candy into, because there are other Pokemon that you really want to put your Rare Candy, not Rare Candy XL, into them, which I will talk about them right now. So if you go to Legendary right now under my RC, okay, these are some of the recommended Pokemon if you actually do not spend money in the game. Why I say this is because if you're one who actually is willing to spend money in the game and you're able to do like an average of 5 to 10 raids every day, okay, that means that when a legendary raid comes into the period, like for example Mewtwo, when it comes back, you are willing to spend maybe slightly more, and say if you're able to do 15 raids to 20 raids on average, then putting Rare Candy and Rare Candy XL into Mewtwo wouldn't make sense. But if you're a free-to-play player and you still want to get the Candy and Candy XL for the legendary Pokemon, obviously you can put into them. Alright, you can also put into any of the ones that I have put over here. So Mewtwo, because there will be Mega Mewtwo, and Mega Mewtwo will be a very, very strong, in fact the #1 Psychic type Pokemon in the game, so I really highly recommend to put your Candy and Candy XL into it if you are a free-to-play player. Alright, next one will be Kyogre. Kyogre is like the #1 primal water type in the game, so I really highly recommend to put it into. This is also assuming, like I said, you are a free-to-play player, you are not one who actually like spends to do like maybe 5 to 10 raids on average. And if Kyogre comes back, you're just going to use your free pass. Even during a raid hour, maybe you're just going to do 1 or 2 raids, etc. So that's something to take into consideration. Alright, Groudon, the same thing, best ground type primal, so definitely go for it. Next one is Rayquaza, best Dragon Mega and best flying type Mega. Alright, with Dragon Ascent, so I really highly recommend to put your Rare Candy and Rare Candy XL into this if you are a free-to-play player. Okay, next one is Kyurem. You can get yourself the White Kyurem, which is the #1 Ice type Pokemon in the game. So definitely go for it also if you're a free-to-play player. But if you have raided a crazy amount for Kyurem and you have caught a lot of Kyurems, that your candies is like a decent amount. Considering, remember I powered up I think 11 Kyurems or 10 Kyurems. No, 9 up to level 50 already. Okay, so my candies is lower than what it could have been. Alright, but still I still have a lot of resources. But if you are one who free-to-play player, I highly recommend put put your resources into this. Next one will be the Necrozma. Dawnwing Necrozma is great. I've already powered up I think like what, how many? 5 times 2, that's 10. Then level 50, so my Candy and Candy XL is still at a good amount. So do consider, like I said, I do spend money in the game, so hence I do raid a lot. And with that, I'll show you guys my rate for the Necrozma is at 767 COD. So with that, during the Go Fest especially, I was able to get a lot of candies. I travel for the in-person events, and some of the in-person events you get boosted candy count. So with that, I'm able to get a lot of candies to be able to power up my Necrozma, etc. So if you are one who doesn't spend in the game, I would say Necrozma is one that you can consider too. Next one will be Crown Form Zacian, or basically Zacian itself. If you put the candies into Zacian, it will be the candies for the Crown Form Zacian. Likewise for Zamazenta, which I'll really recommend to put it into this. Alright, then the Necrozma wise, I didn't mention also, I would recommend to get the Dawn Wings Necrozma, the one that you fuse with Lunala. Alright, to get yourself the best Ghost type Pokemon. For this one would then be the #1 Steel with Zamazenta, so I'll highly put the candies and Candy XL into these two Pokemon too. Alright, if you are free to play player. Cupful wise, it's one of the lower priority, but I decided to put this in because of one reason. In the future, the Urshifu will have Gigantamax. With Gigantamax Urshifu, yes, you can get the Candy and Candy XL relatively easier, but this is also assuming you are spending money in the game. If you're a PvP player, Urshifu is pretty decent or very good in the Master League, so I really recommend to get this if you're also a PvP player. Alright, next one is going to be Regieleki. Regieleki is one of the top tier electric type Pokemon, especially now with Lock-On and Thunder Cage. So recommend to put it into that if you are looking for a good electric type team. But of course you can use Shadow Raikou, you can use Shadow Electivire, you can also use Shadow Zekrom, which might come in the future, and also Xurkitree if you have those. You don't have to necessarily have a full team of, you know, like Regieleki, but you can have a mix of whichever electric type Pokemon that comes. Yep, Shadow Zekrom would be crazy, but Shadow Regieleki would be even more interesting. Alright, but anyway, next one is Enemorous. In the future, when this gets its shadow form, it will be one of the top, if not the top, fairy type Pokemon to use in the game. Alright, so I highly recommend to put your Candy and Candy XL into this if you do not rate as much. This is something that is one of the lower priority, but I would say like for the ones that can Mega, the one that has a primal like Rayquaza, Kyogre, Groudon, Mewtwo, those are top priorities for your Rare Candy and Rare Candy XL to put into them. Okay, so the next one is one that has Adventure Effect. So let's go ahead to go to here and type Adventure Effect. Okay, so these are all the Pokemon that has either Roar of Time for my Dialga, has Spatial Rend, and etc. So I'm gonna sort them by number. So for those of you who actually use your Roar of Time, putting your Rare Candy into this, not Rare Candy XL anymore, yeah, this Rare Candy into this would be recommended because you can actually use your Roar of Time to lengthen the time of your daily adventure incense to get yourself your Galarian Bird or whatever. This also will reduce the cost of using your premium items such as your Star Piece, your Lucky Egg, and also your Incense, as it stops the time for all those 3 premium items. So I would recommend to put it into that. However, for me, I do not put it into that because I do not care for using my daily adventure incense to get the Galarian Birds at all. Neither do I stop the time to actually stop the premium items, because usually when I'm catching, like really catching a lot, I would use Spatial Rend. Hence why I put my Rare Candies into Palkia to use my Spatial Rend and all the time whenever I'm grinding for catches. And that's one I actually put into. So Spatial Rend, by the way, is Adventure Effects only available for the Origin Palkia, and likewise for the Dialga is only for the Roar of Time from the Origin Dialga. However, if you were to have a Dialga already and you do not have Origin Palkia or Origin Dialga with the move, you can still put the candies into the non-Origin Dialga and Palkia. And let's say if one day when the raids do come back with the Origin Palkia and Dialga, or even you have a friend who's able to trade to you, you then can obtain that. So you can just put it into this, also the non-Origin Palkia. It shares the same Rare Candy. You guys can see the amount for the Rare Candy over here, 8,815 and 2,698 Palkia Candy. It's the same for here, 8815 and 2698. Alright, same for the Dialga, just to prove to you guys. Let's go to here and we'll choose the last one. 2863 for the Candy, and then Candy XL is 2799, whereas you will see the Origin form is also the same, 2863, 2799. So they share the same Candy and Candy XL, so that's something to take that into consideration. Alright, so back to the Adventure Effect. Okay, if I know how to spell. Okay, the next Pokemon that I would recommend to put into would actually be the Kyurem, if you actually want to use your Ice Burn and free shot all the time, especially when you're catching like low catch rate Pokemon during Spotlight Hour especially. So like a Spotlight Hour like Morlu, for example, that's gonna come and with 2 times catch Stardust, using Ice Burn, because it's a 20% base catch rate, would actually be better than using Spatial Rend. If you have a Spotlight Hour that is Shelter, for example, it's also a Stardust boosted Pokemon with 50% base catch rate, using Spatial Rend would be better, because with such a high base catch rate, using Spatial Rend would already be good. For Community Day wise, all Community Day is either 40% base catch rate or higher if the Pokemon has a higher base catch rate, like Pikipek for example. So with that in mind, using Spatial Rend during a Community Day would be better than using either Ice Burn or Free Shot. This is assuming you're not raiding, but if you're raiding during the Com Day while Gold Blasting and you want to catch the Pokemon faster from the legendary raids, then using Ice Burn would be better, but also depends on how many raids you're going to do. Alright, so that's something to take into consideration. And if let's say Magikarp gets a Community Day Classic, even the base catch rate will be altered, but Magikarp's base catch rate is 70%. So with 70% base catch rate from Magikarp, you don't need to use Ice Burn or Free Shot. You will use Spatial Rend to get more spawns. Alright, if that makes sense. So the next one that I'll recommend, like I said, is the Kyurem. And then for Necrozma wise, yes, you can put the candies into that, but I personally have never used the Sunsteel Strike or the Dawn Wings, Necrozma, Moongeist, Beam, Adventure effects. It basically acts like an incense to spawn a Pokemon for you, but I personally have never used it, but if you do use it often, then put your rare candies into it. Alright, the rare candy XL doesn't work, yeah? Okay, but rare candy does. So another one would be the Zacian, and Zacian with Behemoth Blade, it gives you an extra 5% damage when you actually do raids, meaning you know, tier 5 or whatever mega raids that you do. For Dynamax battles, it gives you an extra 10% boost. Alright, it might help you a little bit, but honestly speaking, not the most worth one to use. Alright, as for this, also the same thing for the Behemoth Bash, it gives you 5% extra defense when you do raids, whereas it gives you 10% extra defense when you do Dynamax battles. Alright, the next one is going to be Eternatus, but Eternatus wise, I don't think a lot of people will use the Dynamax Cannon, especially for Dynamax battles, so take that into consideration, yeah? It's only usable for Dynamax battles if you were to put your Rare Candy XL into this and use the Adventure effects. I personally have never Rare Candied my Eternatus at all, okay? So far, the ones that I always use are these are my 4 ones that I always use. Actually, I don't use the Roar of Time that often, so I technically can remove that. So the number 1 that I do put my Rare Candy into the most often would be Palkia, this one. Alright, next one would then be Kyurem, alright. And then the next one is Zacian, but so far I've never needed to put it into Zacian because I rated quite a bit for it and I don't use like a crazy amount of the Behemoth Blade. But Kyurem, I did start off at 13,000 Kyurem candies, then it went down, and then I had to slowly rare candy it back up again. So I did use it quite a bit, especially when I'm using the Go Plus to just use the auto catch. It will use only Pokeball, and if it's a good event to catch for Stardust, I would actually do that. Use the Adventure effect, the Ice Burn. Oh, by the way, I didn't talk about the difference between the Ice Burn and the Free Shock. Ice Burn from White Kyurem, alright, the difference in catch rate, just talk about catch rate, yeah, whatever thing that you guys can see over here, you guys might have experienced it. Ice Burn gives you a 1.5 times multiplier for catch rate, whereas Free Shock is 1.25. Basically, Ice Burn is better to increase the catch rate, and that's what I always use. So far, I've only used Free Shock maybe like 1 out of 100 times of using Ice Burn. No kidding. Yeah, like I use Ice Burn 99% of the time versus the Free Shock, which is like 1% out, comparing these 2 adventure effects. Alright, but those are basically the Pokemon that I recommend putting your Rare Candy and Rare Candy XL into. But of course, if you have reached to the point that you do not know what to put after I've already said all this, well, then it depends on which Pokemon you like to put your Rare Candy and Rare Candy XL into. If you have a favorite Pokemon that you want to get a crazy amount, go ahead, no problem in doing that. I mean, if you guys saw my Mewtwo candies, alright, my Mewtwo candies is very, very high because when I was raiding back in 2017 all the way to 2019, I Rare Candied my Mewtwo all the way. I have 33,000 Mewtwo candies. But I'm just hoping one day it has an adventure effects and I don't have to put my Rare Candy into this at all. Yep. But basically that's all that I have to share with you guys in this video. Hopefully you guys have gotten a better insight towards which Pokemon to use your Rare Candy and Rare Candy XL into. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you use your Rare Candy and Rare Candy XL on? There's no right or wrong, but it depends on which you prefer. But if you see your friend or someone else putting their Rare Candy into something, you don't have to necessarily follow them, as long as it depends on how you play the game and what you prefer. Then you go into that. If you prefer to raid more and you don't catch that often, putting into like Behemoth Blade or Behemoth Bash, the Zacian and Zamazenta makes more sense than putting into Spatial Rend if you don't care for catches, if that makes sense. Okay, but that's it from me, man. If you guys enjoyed this video, definitely remember to leave a like on the video, be much appreciated. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys in the next episode in the next video. Alright, so it's time to say goodbye. So goodbye.